Good evening from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Friday, the 24th of October 2014. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Al-Ghanem says the next parliamentary term will witness more legislative achievements. Fighting continues in the Syrian border town of Kobani as Turkey says Free Syrian Army fighters will be allowed to join the fight. The EU agrees a deal to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by year 2030, while the UK projects EU demands for more money. Protest leaders in Hong Kong are to ballot their supporters over whether to accept the government's protests and end their occupation of the city. Hello and welcome. His Highness Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Michel Shelufa Sata, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah paid a visit this morning to Faisal Bandar Watban Al-Dawish at Farwaniya Hospital, where he checked on his health situation and wished him a speedy recovery. His Highness the Crown Prince was accompanied by the Minister of the Amiri Diwan Affairs, Sheikh Nasser Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, and head of His Highness the Crown Prince Diwan, Sheikh Mbarak Al-Faisal Al-Saud Al-Sabah. The National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanem said the third parliamentary session that will kick off next Tuesday will witness more legislative achievements that started in the past one. Al-Ghanem said in a press statement that coordination among MPs before the start of a new session is nothing but normal, and stressed the significance of such a coordination among lawmakers, hoping that the third session of the 14th legislative term would help realize the people's expectations. Asked if the meeting had decided the posts of the parliamentary committees by acclamation, Al-Ghanem said, quote, he hopes so, although it is not that easy to decide. A year filled with progress and steps forward towards peace and stability, the United Nations seized every opportunity to address global challenges and seek solutions to world issues of pending nature. Celebrating the 69th anniversary of the founding of this international organization, the UN played a major role in many global crises and led the way for humanitarian relief. In the humanitarian relief, the UN Chief Ban Ki-moon lauded the role played by Kuwait in this issue and said Kuwait has shown exemplary humanitarian leadership skills, which led to naming His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah a humanitarian leader and the State of Kuwait a humanitarian center. Therefore, a celebration was held in the UN headquarters in September, where Ban expressed gratitude to His Highness Emir and the people of Kuwait for their outstanding generosity towards Syrians and Iraqis in need. Kuwait has hosted two pledging conferences in 2013 and 2014, as well as hosting the meetings of the top donors group for Syria and other regional conferences for effective humanitarian action. Such recognition of leadership came in result to Kuwait's engagement in the humanitarian field and donations of millions of dollars for humanitarian relief in the Middle East, in addition to Kenya, Ethiopia, Chad, Sudan, Nigeria, and Somalia. Kuwait's second youth project, exhibiting 1,000 businesses ventures, concluded last night with a reward ceremony honoring all participants and prizing winning entrepreneurs. The Manpower and Government Restructuring Program provided the opportunity for Kuwaiti youth to join in with new businesses, ideas, and plans for the second successful year in a row. Here is more on the event in this report by Salim Al-Kandari.
State Minister for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al-Sabah, has honored a group of young citizens who took part in the Forum of 1,000 Projects held last June under sponsorship of His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Sabah. The minister, in a statement on occasion of honoring the teams that took part in the forum exhibition held for the second year in a row, said that the Manpower and Government Restructuring Program's year-long youth activities come in implementation of His Highness the Emir's guidelines to support the young citizens, secure jobs for them, and boost development.
This event is an event that I hold very dearly to my heart. It is an event that has been planned to honor and for me to be able to personally thank all those young people who gave up a lot of their time and effort in order to execute a fantastic event. Last summer, the event was called 1,000 Small Projects. It was under the auspices of His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber, Emir of Kuwait, in which we aimed to host 1,000 small businesses under one roof. We managed to achieve somewhere in the region of 800 businesses, which was an increase, 50% increase on the year before that. And we hope that this year or the next year we'll be able to reach our target of 1,000 events. But tonight I'm here to honor and to thank all those people who gave up their time and organized the event.
I participated in the exhibition to show my business and to let people know that we can support them to start their own business. Today we will be honored by the Manpower Government Restructuring Program for our participation. So I want to thank them for the support. My business was a consulting company to help anyone to start his own business and also to help the existing companies to expand their business on Kuwait and on the region.
Such projects contribute to guidelining the youngsters to get involved in small enterprise, particularly after the state had allocated 2 billion Kuwaiti dinar as funding for the project.
This was the concluding ceremony of the second project of the 1,000 exhibition that was conducted by new Kuwaiti business entrepreneurs from the Manpower and Government Restructuring Program. This is Salim Al-Kandari reporting for the English News.
Fighting continued today in the Syrian border town of Kobani as thousands of Syrians continued to stay in a refugee camp in Turkey. Islamic State group and Kurdish fighters are battling for control of Kobani, which the militants have been trying to seize since mid-September. The IS group has also captured dozens of surrounding Kurdish villages, compelling more than 200,000 people to flee to neighboring Turkey. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that the IS militants had captured the Tel Ashar Hill that overlooks parts of Kobani, closing in on the town from the west. It said the IS fighters are also trying to advance from the eastern side of the town, saying there were casualties on both sides. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said today that the Kurdish Democratic Union Party, the PYD, has agreed to allow 1,300 Free Syrian Army fighters to join the fight against the IS militants in the key border town of Kobani. He said that the relevant departments in Turkey were currently trying to decide on what route the FSA fighters should take to get to Kobani. Erdogan also said that the PYD, the leading Syrian Kurdish political party, had agreed to allow 150 Kurdish Peshmerga fighters from northern Iraq to travel across Turkey to Kobani. Lawmakers in Iraq's Kurdish region on Wednesday authorized Peshmerga fighters to go to Syria and help fellow Kurds combat the IS in Kobani, providing much-needed boots on the ground. Turkey said this week it would help Iraqi Kurdish fighters cross into Syria to help their brethren against the militants. The Palestinian Authority is set to take new steps in its diplomatic push next month for an independent Palestinian state, regardless of warnings from the United States against such a move. The chief Palestinian negotiator said the state of Palestine has the full intention of becoming an ICC member. Fatima Abdul Karim has more from Ramallah.
The Palestinian Authority declares again that it's ready to take new steps to boost its diplomatic campaign for the establishment of the Palestinian state on the borders of 1967, freed of the Israeli occupation. Senior PA officials said the moves will be taken next November in the corridors of the United Nations Security Council.
There is a proposal to be submitted to the Security Council maybe this coming month. And this is a situation in which, of course, we know for sure that the United States is going to veto such a resolution. This will definitely take us to the next step, which is joining different UN organizations as well as signing the Rome Statute, which means that Palestine will become a member of the International Criminal Court.
The declaration was not welcomed by the United States. In fact, senior officials told reporters that the U.S. State Secretary John Kerry warned that the U.S. would oppose Palestinian ambitions for statehood. The warning was taken seriously by Palestinians, knowing that it is highly unlikely that the U.S. would vote in contrary to Israel at the UN Security Council. However, the Palestinians clearly said that despite the warnings, they have every intention of joining the International Criminal Court.
We gave the American administration the time they asked for, 9 months. And they came to a conclusion that it is the Israeli practices, especially the policy of expanding settlements and reneging on the commitments they made for the release of the last batch of the Palestinian prisoners before Oslo. That means we reached a dead end. We cannot continue facing the Israeli practices without making any effort on our part to go back to the international community.
Clearly, the Palestinians are weighing their options and the consequences of their diplomatic movements on the international arena, knowing that the Israeli government would probably price a high charge on the Palestinian people. Fatima Abdul Karim, Kuwait TV, Ramallah, Palestine.
Thank you, Fatima. European leaders agreed today to cut greenhouse gas emissions in the 28-nation bloc to at least 40% below the 1990 levels by year 2030. The deal was aimed at countering climate change and setting an example for the rest of the world ahead of key international climate negotiations next year. A package agreed by leaders at an EU summit after lengthy negotiations also requires climate-friendly renewable energy to provide at least 27% of the bloc's needs and demands that energy efficiency increases by at least 27% in the next 16 years. In other developments, Britain protested against an EU request for an additional €2.1 billion contribution to the EU coffers at a time of increasing pressure for the country to leave the bloc. British officials today confirmed reports that the nation had been asked to top up its contribution by some 20%. Treasury Chief George Osborne said the request was unacceptable to ask for extra money without any notice.
I think it does speak to a wider complaint about Europe, that it is not working for its citizens, that this organisation and its relationship with Britain is not right at the moment. We want to change that relationship, and of course it's under the Conservatives that you get that changed relationship and you get that referendum where people in Britain can decide whether they want to remain in this organisation or not.
China's foreign ministry said today that the basic rights and freedoms of the Hong Kong people were guaranteed under Basic Law, the region's constitutional document. The documents were made after an appeal from the United Nations Human Rights Committee for more guarantees on Hong Kong's people's rights to vote and stand for elections. Meanwhile, protest leaders in Hong Kong are to ballot their supporters over whether to accept the government's proposals and end their sit-in. The protest leaders had previously rejected the government's offer to set up a platform for debating reform and to report Beijing on the protests. They said a strong show of support for this stance would help them in their negotiations with the government. The World Health Organization, the WHO, said today it was sending more experts to help Mali fight Ebola a day after the first case of the disease was confirmed there. Malian authorities said a 2-year-old girl who had traveled to neighboring Guinea was infected, making Mali the 6th West African country to be touched by the worst outbreak on record of the disease, which has killed almost 4,900 people. Meanwhile, the WHO announced 1 million doses of an Ebola vaccine will be produced by the end of 2015. It said several hundred thousands would be produced in the first half of the year. Vaccines could be offered to health workers on the front line in West Africa as soon as December 2014. The Embassy of Germany in Kuwait hosted an event to celebrate the 24 years of German unity. During this year's celebrations, the local German community also celebrated 50 years of bilateral ties between Germany and Kuwait, with this year alone seeing expansive growth and relations between the two countries. Reporter Badria Al-Saleh brings us this report.
Ambassador to Kuwait, Eugene Walforth, along with the local German community, recently gathered with their guests to honor and celebrate the National Day of Germany. Known as the Day of German Unity, it commemorates the anniversary of German reunification in 1990, when the reunification between West and East Germany was formally completed.
Today we are celebrating the German Day of Unity here in the German residence, together with Kuwaiti friends and guests of honor and many German fellow countrymen. We look back on 25 years of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which has changed Germany. It's united now in a peaceful way, and we are extremely happy about this. The other important date we are marking this year is 50 years of excellent bilateral relations with the State of Kuwait, between Germany and Kuwait, and it has been a very, very good time with very few exceptions when we had to help for the liberation. We all wished it would not have been necessary, but now the State of Kuwait is again a free state. And when looking to the future, we look forward to continued excellent bilateral relations. 2014 has been very dense so far, with good visits. This time outgoing from Kuwait to Germany, the Speaker of the Parliament, the Foreign Minister, and the Prime Minister of Kuwait have visited Germany. The Prime Minister very recently met Chancellor Merkel, and I think things are on an excellent track.
An alternative choice to commemorate the reunification is often confused with the day the Berlin Wall came down, on November 9, 1989, which also coincides with the anniversary of the proclamation of the German Republic in 1918 and the defeat of Hitler's first coup in 1923. But the 3rd of October 1990, the day of the formal reunification, was chosen instead, thus replacing the Day of German Unity on the 17th of June, the national holiday of the Federal Republic of Germany from 1954.
This is for us a very special day. We celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relation with Kuwait. We are also celebrating 25 years of unification of Germany, and we are very pleased that we have a lot of guests, and I hope all the guests will be feel here like home and enjoy the evening.
When looking to the immediate future, I would highlight what joins us besides good economic ties and the political will for freedom and liberty is humanitarian aid, this accent, which is here under the leadership of the Emir of Kuwait, His Highness, who was recently honored for good reasons by the United Nations. And the focus on one of the important focuses is on helping the refugees from Syria. So there we certainly have important projects on the agenda on our doorstep.
Ambassador Walforth expressed his message of congratulations to his fellow countrymen and also shared his gratitude for the strong ties between Kuwait and Germany, a relationship he foresees as only becoming even stronger. At the residence of the German ambassador to Kuwait, I'm Badriya Saleh reporting for the English News.
The French Institute and the French Embassy hosted for the first time in Kuwait a 3-night César French Film Festival. César Award is the National Film Award of France. It is delivered in the Nuit des Césars ceremony, and it was first awarded in 1976. The nominations are selected by the members of 12 categories of filmmaking professionals and supported by the French Ministry of Culture. The nationally televised award ceremony is held in the Théâtre du Châtelet in Paris each February. More on this with our reporter Ghonwa Jabouri.
The French Institute, in collaboration with the French Embassy Kuwait, have brought to the delight of the audiences one of the most highly regarded cinema film festivals. As always, the French Embassy and the French Institute seek to bring the beauty and significance of French culture to Kuwait, hence encouraging the sharing of knowledge in art and literature between the societies.
Interested to watch French movies, especially in Kuwait. It's always interesting to watch different kind of movies as well. We might know the kind of movies or not, maybe. I didn't look for it actually, but we'll discover it later on maybe.
César, Nuit des Césars, and I'm sure you wonder why we call it Nuit des Césars actually. The César is an award. It's an award from the French cinema industry that is awarded every year to the best French movies. So there is a big ceremony. It's a bit like the equivalent of the Oscar night, the American Oscar night. But now why do we call it César? Because César is actually the name of a sculptor who designed the trophy. The trophy for the César looks that way. It's a sculpture done by an artist who is now actually deceased, called César. That was the name of the sculpture. And he gave the name, of course, to the ceremony. See? So it's a compression done by a famous French sculptor, and that's why we call it Nuit des Césars.
The César Award is considered the highest film honor in France for theatre. In cinema, it is the French equivalent of the Academy Award in the United States.
I have a degree in French, as I did French for 4 years in England, and I'm a teacher here at Kuwait English School. So every year when there's a French film festival, I really look forward to going to see all the films. I encourage my pupils to go as well, and all the films are all award-winning films as well, so they're very, very interesting. We look at the clips on YouTube, the trailers, we see which ones we want to go and see, and we decide which is the best one. So yes, I'm really thrilled and excited to be here tonight.
The 40th César Awards is scheduled to take place on 20 February 2015 with Danny Boone acting as the chairman of the ceremony. The French Embassy Kuwait, in collaboration with the French Institute, have brought award-winning French films to Kuwait to the delight of French cinema lovers. From Cinescape Layla, I'm Gana Jaburi reporting to you for the English News.
Thank you, Rano. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here is a quick reminder of today's headlines. National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Al-Ghanem says the next parliamentary term will witness more legislative achievements. Fighting continues in the Syrian border town of Kobani as Turkey says Free Syrian Army fighters will be allowed to join the fight. The EU agrees a deal to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by year 2030, while the UK rejects EU demands for more money. Protest leaders in Hong Kong are to ballot for their supporters over whether to accept the government's proposals and end their occupation of the city.